In this part of the course, we're talking about marketing. Specifically, we're trying to understand the concept of market segmentation and choosing a target market. In the previous lesson, we learned people prefer customized products that correspond to their lifestyle and aspirations, and customers with similar lifestyles and aspirations form market segments. But how does this impact companies? Do they have to choose one market segment and focus on it? Or perhaps they can address the whole market with the same product and hope to attract customers from different market segments. This is the focus of this lesson, and it will be a great one. There are three main ways to address market segmentation. The first one is to offer the same product to the entire market. A company that does that refuses to focus on a specific client group and believes everybody wants to consume its product in the same way. Typically, this strategy is used in industries where companies can't really differentiate their product. We all consume sugar in the same way, don't we? So how does a sugar producer differentiate his offering? They can't really do that because the market cannot be segmented. This strategy is undifferentiated offering. In markets that are easier to segment, companies may choose one of two paths. They can either focus on a single market segment and offer products customized for that market segment, or serve multiple segments with customized versions of their products for each segment. The riskier of the two strategies is the first one. Focusing on a single market segment could be dangerous because a company puts all its eggs in one basket. If sales depend highly on a single segment and suddenly this segment changes its tastes or needs, the company's entire business would be at risk. However, in certain industries, it is difficult to combine product offerings for multiple market segments. Brioni is an Italian menswear couture house that offers super luxurious menswear. It's known for its made-to-measure men's suits and usually charges more than $4,000 for a suit. The firm has chosen to serve the market segment of men with high income, typically older than 35 years of age. Brioni suits are seen as a status symbol by clients, and they will be unhappy to see a brand extension that offers Brioni products at a cheaper price and directed towards a different market segment. Its popularity and prestige impede the firm from serving multiple market segments. This is a valid consideration for some industries. For other industries, it isn't. People who drink Coke Classic are okay with the fact the company sells energy drinks as well. Serving multiple market segments is much easier in the soft drinks industry as expected. So, when a firm chooses its targeting strategy, it should remember the three alternatives and have a clear idea which one of them will be pursued. These are choices that should be coherent with the firm's mission and vision and will be made at a strategic level as we discussed earlier in the course. This is step 1 of the process. Step 2 would be to find the factors that can help us dissect the market. As we discussed in our previous lesson, these variables can be demographic, geographic, behavioral, or psychographic. The selection of variables to be used depends on the context we're in. However, we should select variables that can help us break down the market in segments that are accessible, the people in them have some unique needs, are sufficiently large to be targeted separately, and are there to stay. It's reasonable to expect this segmentation will continue to exist and is not just a temporary phenomenon. And that's how we break down the market in multiple segments. In Phase 3, marketing managers will create profiles of the segments that have been defined earlier. They'll describe similarities between people who belong in the same segment and try to come up with several traits that make them different from people in other segments. This exercise could be invaluable as it helps guide the firm which market segment corresponds best to the product it can produce and wants to produce. Step number 4 comprises evaluating shortlisted segments. What are we going to evaluate? Well, it's time to focus on money. At this stage, the marketing manager must build an estimate of the sales potential of shortlisted segments. They will have to use a bottom-up or a top-down approach. Bottom-up comprises progressing upwards from the lowest levels. So, let's say we want to forecast the revenues of a hotel. We can start from the number of rooms that will be available for renting in that hotel. Then, we can ask ourselves, how many of these rooms will actually be rented? It is reasonable to expect that different seasons will bring in a different number of tourists. Therefore, a different number of rooms will be rented. We will have to consider the seasonality of the business. Then we can multiply the number of rooms and the occupancy percentage, and this will give us the number of rooms that will be rented each season. Once we have made this calculation, we can multiply these numbers by the average price charged in each season and obtain the expected revenues for next year. We could apply the top-down approach, considering macro indicators and only top-level variables. So, for example, we use the following calculation. There will be 10,000 tourists coming to the town where the hotel is situated. Let's assume it has a 20% market share, and the average price of one room is $100. Then, 2,000 tourists will visit the hotel, and its revenues will be $200,000. This is how we can estimate revenues. As you saw, one of the variables taken into consideration is market share. Marketing managers will pay attention to the competitors who operate in the shortlisted market segments. They want to know who are they up against, as it is much more difficult to compete with well-established players who are well known to consumers. The other important variable is costs. How much must be invested to create a product that addresses a particular market segment? What about marketing expenditure? What type of campaign must be organized when entering the market? These are very important questions that help top management assess the entire business initiative. It is much likelier a CEO will decide to compete in a segment if financials look promising and the move is in line with the firm's overall strategy and positioning.